Hi, Jeff.
How you doing, Deanna?
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. You know, the next question I want to ask you is one that confounds a lot of people, and that is the subject of credit and credit history. You know, how is it? Tell us a little bit about the process. How can someone find out about their credit? Not only finding out about their credit, how can they correct things that are incorrect or may have been actual things that happened on their credit? How can someone establish good credit when they don't have a credit history or need to repair a credit history? So tell us a little bit about that.
That sounds like a multifaceted question to me.
Yes.
All right, so this is a big, hot topic.
Yes.
And it's something that affects everybody.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in my view, the system that we've created is extremely unfair to the consumer. So imagine everybody has access to leave their remarks on your record.
I see.
And the only person that doesn't have access to that record is you. That doesn't sound too good, right?
No, it's true, but what about all these things online? I mean, can you go online and just check your credit, or?
Yes, there's a way. Each credit agency, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, do have a way for you to, without it affecting your credit score,
Yes, and people don't know about this, so you need to talk about
to
that.
go online and
Yes.
get a copy of your report, and free of charge.
And free of being problematic to your credit.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you can do it once a year. It's free of charge. Each one of these credit agencies will try and sell you a service
I see.
where they update you periodically from time to time. But it's a little sinister, actually, because when you then not only pay them to get information about yourself that you have no ability to control and for which you have no access to, so that's a little aggravating. But then they're going to sell your information to others to solicit you for other services.
Boy.
So in general, you know, my thing about anything online or any solicitation that involves anything in the world of credit is you turn everything down. You turn
Really?
everything
Even including
down.
looking at your credit once a year?
No, getting your credit report once a year is fine, but if
Okay.
they solicit you to take another offer from them,
I get
I
it.
say turn it down.
Okay.
So here's some basics about credit. First of all, these scores, Fair Isaac score or FICO scores that we hear about, Beacon score with TransUnion, that's their version of it, these are algorithms. And what that means is this is a computer model
Okay.
that created an ideal.
Okay.
And what they do then is they plug human beings into this model.
Okay.
Well, that's a bad way to start, right?
Dear.
Because as people, we're all different.
Yeah.
And the way we behave is based on the circumstances in our life, and we're all different. So I don't really like the idea of how the playing field's set up, but basically there's an algorithm.
Right.
How much credit you have or how many different creditors you have fits into that algorithm. How much you borrow on each one of those accounts and how often fits into that algorithm. Whether you pay that money back all or in part, and if in part, by how much each time you pay goes into that algorithm.
My gosh.
Any payments you make that aren't timely go into the algorithm.
Right.
Any public records, so judgments, things, by the way, some of which you could still be disputing or trying to resolve, well, they go into the algorithm too.
Right.
So the idea is to try and understand by looking at the overall credit profile of the subscriber or the client, how likely it is and at what risk you are as a creditor to extend credit to this individual. I think the system is far from perfect, honestly.
Right. Well, we all know that.
It's far from perfect. Now, if there are errors, and errors
Or
are
rampant.
common, yes, and rampant, because you don't have access to speak directly to those agencies except for under very strict guidelines, it's often difficult to deal with them.
Yes.
So let me just say in general, this is not a scientific hypothesis of mine, but here's sort of my view. When you owe somebody money and you get a mailing from a collection agent or from a creditor that says you have X number of days to pay or we're going to turn you over to collection, take that seriously.
Yes.
Because just because you don't see the letter again or you don't get another mailing
Right.
doesn't mean it's over.
Right.
It just means that the creditor stopped trying to collect the debt. They've sent it to a credit agent, a credit collection company, And these credit collection companies know you'll one day come to them.
Right.
Because when you try and get credit to buy a car, or you try and get credit to take a mortgage on a home, this is going to get in your way.
Right.
And they figure they'll just wait to hear from you. They pay so little to pick up these accounts. You know,
Right,
when a
right.
creditor can't collect, they sell it for 5 cents or 10 cents on the
Oh,
dollar.
boy. Huh.
And they just warehouse these bad debts, you know, and put
Right.
them, they just leave them hanging out there on your credit report. So the bottom line is that if you run afoul, if there's issues in your life, if they're episodic in nature, it's difficult to correct them.
Right.
So, you know, you go through a difficult divorce, or you go through a period of time between jobs, and your credit suffers, that's going to be hard to fix.
Right.
If they're bona fide errors, there is a procedure that you can follow yourself
Right.
to get that erroneous reporting removed, but it's not a fast process.
Right. It takes
It
a
takes
bit
time.
of doing, yes.
It does.
And you're talking about 3 agencies, not just one.
That's right. So you could, in some instances, it's only improperly reported on one, and one misreporting on one agency could take 30, 60, 90 days to correct. Multiple erroneous reportings on multiple could take more. Now, there are some credit counseling companies out there
Yes.
that can be helpful. These are, I'm not going to endorse any one in particular, but there are a couple in our market in New York that have a good reputation. And what they do is they basically use their knowledge of how the process works to try and expedite the process. But they're not doing anything different
Than you would do yourself,
than
right?
what you can do yourself. That's right.
Right.
Now, we know we're in a market full of very busy people, and taking care of a detail like this can be tough. And the reason often that these problems occur is because people are so time taxed in New York.
Right.
You know, you figure you didn't get the notice again, maybe it's all okay.
Right.
So-
you're busy, you're on to the next thing.
Here's some tips. First of all, have your credit run by potential creditors as little as possible.
Yes, because
Okay.
that lowers your credit score.
It
yes?
not only, yes, it does. It not only lowers your credit score, but when a potential lender looks at those previous inquiries on your credit report, you're going to have to explain them all. So run it only when you really have a legitimate need or desire to obtain credit.
Right.
Avoid any kind of offer online, by email, or by, if you're not on the do not call list, or
by phone.
by phone that says we're going to help you or assist you or make your life easier with regard to your credit. Hang up, turn around, run the other direction.
Okay.
Avoid any kind of offer
Good advice.
any kind of offer like that. And third, and this one's going to be tough. When you do agree to take on new credit, and this can be anything as simple as a store credit card, a Bloomingdale's charge, read the fine print. Because that fine print, because of regulatory changes that have taken place recently, that fine print is really important to know.
And yes, tell
You
me,
want an
because
example?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
here's a
I love
crazy
it.
example. So today, if you open a Bloomingdale's charge, for instance, and you have a $1,000 limit, and you're a typical New York consumer, you might shop Bloomingdale's seasonally, you know,
Right.
kids' clothes, your clothes, tune up your wardrobe.
Right.
So maybe you're carrying a $600 balance, you go to the register and you've got another $800 worth of merchandise. Well, you're not making a mental note, I'm going over my limit.
Yes.
You hand your card to the clerk runs your card, a receipt pops out, you're asked to sign it, you go on your merry way, you think everything's great. Well, that was a big event because you just went over your credit limit. And under your card agreement with Bloomingdale's, there's 2 things that happens. One, they can assess you a fee for having gone over your credit limit.
Okay.
And 2, they can change the rate of interest because you are no longer living under
The
the
terms,
terms of your original agreement. Not only that, but the reporting on your credit report will show that you
You
exceeded
went
the
over
limit
their limit.
on their card. And now, under the new laws, other creditors can change their terms with you because you exceeded your limit with Bloomingdale's.
That is crazy.
Crazy.
And-
So it's important to read the fine print.
Unbelievable.
And-
Wow.
And if you're not sure of what those terms are, I say cut the card up.
I'm telling you, boy, this is very helpful information. And I know there's a lot more to say about it.
There is a lot more to say about it, and maybe this would be a great thing for some people to blog about, and we can answer their questions individually.
Let's do that. That would be fabulous.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That was a great introduction.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it so
Okay.
much. Take care.